Hello, my name is Hayley and I'm a self-taught artist. I'm currently living in a small village in Gloucestershire. My love of art first came from receiving a watercolour art set over a decade ago. Then a good friend of mine recommended I try acrylics, and since that day I never looked back. I fell in love with the dynamics of acrylics and my love for detail intensified. Last year was the first time that I discovered charcoal, and this is now another love of mine. It's very different from working with acrylics, and although I will never give up acrylics, I love to make time for working with charcoal. Throughout the years, painting was my favourite hobby. Any spare time I had between being a mum, work and home life was sat at my kitchen table painting. I still used my kitchen table as my art space up until about 6 months ago, when our eldest son moved out and I relocated to the box room, which is small but I make it work. It's fantastic to be able to have my own space, being able to leave projects out and not having to clear up fast before setting the table for tea. I still split my art time as we home educate our daughter. In the past, I've always loved experimenting with projects. One of my favourites was sanding, painting and varnishing an old guitar with an Iron Maiden theme for my dad. This was so much fun, and he still has this to this day. In the early days, a lot of my art was gifted. I even gave a painting of Paul Gray to Corey Taylor at Download Festival, which was a wonderful memory. Music is really something which I personally couldn't paint without. It really helps me disappear into my own world of creativity. Another subject which I've loved getting stuck into is cars and bikes. My husband is a photographer and we love going to motorsport events. I've done many paintings in the past. These are all done in acrylic and I thrive on adding as much detail as I possibly can. When I was given the slot for the exhibition in June, I was excited and a little nervous. This would have been my first large-scale exhibition. When coming up with a theme, I kept thinking of all the musical icons who have lost their lives through losing their fight with their inner demons, and how I wanted to include that in my exhibition. So this is the point that Light Through Darkness was born. Mental health issues are something that are experienced by an ever-growing number of people, and some of my closest friends have suffered. This collection began as a selection of musical icons that have been taken too soon. My first category is called Gone Too Soon. I never used to paint portraits as I really struggled with proportions. Each individual painting can take up to 10 hours. I generally spread this over a week or so. I will always start with a loose sketch and then gradually build it up. This Paul Gray painting I managed to record a little in time-lapse. Although it's not the great quality, you can get the idea. If only I could actually paint that fast. This moves me onto my second category, which I have titled Hidden Feelings. This section is part of the exhibition to outwardly show the struggles that can be felt when fighting with your inner demons. Each piece was mentally exhausting to create, as the emotional attachment ran deep during their creation. The pieces in this section are much larger than I would normally work with, so I did have to utilise the kitchen floor on some occasions. When creating these pieces, I always see the idea in my mind, then roughly sketch this onto paper. Then I move on to the canvas. This piece, Torn, represents the suffering when you feel torn in every direction. So many people taking a part of you that you feel so alone and empty. When you have given so much that there ends up not being anything left for the most important person, which is you. My final category I felt was deeply important. This category is called And Breathe. It's very important for anyone going through hard time to realise that there is light through darkness, and this section is to show some of the places you can go to just breathe and find yourself again. I love the ocean, and I love nothing more than going on adventures with my family, discovering beautiful locations. I use these locations as inspiration for my charcoal artworks. All of these pieces are mixed media. I start with layering charcoal whilst using fixative to seal them, and when I'm happy I add splashes of black and white acrylic to add a more dynamic look. I have enlisted the help of my husband, who is a photographer. He takes shots of my charcoals before framing. This allows me to create limited edition prints of my charcoal pieces, which are also framed. Each charcoal piece has its own vivid description. My feet are standing in the cold, damp sand. The only sound I can hear are the voices of the waves crashing into the shore. This is a place to feel free, to feel alive. The waves to soothe the soul. A little piece of heaven, a light breeze in the air. My body stood in awe, watching the sky change with the dark evening skies drawing in. The last piece of sunset reflecting on the beautiful ocean. The only sounds are the waves calmly rolling in, reaching for my feet. This is most definitely a place of no worries. This is a little piece of heaven. Light Through Darkness will hopefully be available at Gloucester Guildhall at some point next year. Due to the nature of the exhibition, I decided early on that I would love to help support a local charity by donating a percentage of the profits made. Whilst doing research, I came across Sunflower Suicide Support. They are a Gloucestershire-based charity who offer suicide bereavement support, prevention training. They hold campaigns and many fundraising and awareness events. They do fantastic work, and I will still be supporting this charity when I hold my exhibition. If you would like to donate to this wonderful charity, please head to the link below. Thank you so much for watching and allowing me to share a little of my story with you, and I hope to see you next year. Stay safe.